Welcome to Cash Talk, the podcast where we delve into the depths of finance, business, and life itself. I'm your host, John Cachia, a multi-award-winning wealth advisor with a passion for empowering ambitious Australians to confidently achieve financial freedom. Hey everyone, before we get started, this is a quick reminder that everything in this podcast is of a general nature and nothing has been tailored to your personal circumstances. So please seek personal financial advice before acting on this information. Hello and welcome back to Cash Talk, and today I'm joined by JK. JK, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I getting used to this brightness.
It's a nice change.
It is a nice change. Yeah. It is a nice change. We had the last episode, the 100th. Thought we'd change it up. So, yeah, just getting used to it. But besides that, just been in the thick of soccer with my kids. What about yourself?
Good, mate. Just obviously in the financial year's been a bit chaotic, but we're kind of over the worst of the hump, which is good.
Yeah.
So,
But you've got a fair bit happening in your life at the moment?
Yeah, fair bit going on. We're doing some renovations at the moment on our new home, and got a baby girl on the way too in October. So it's very exciting.
Yeah. How are you feeling about that? Obviously got renovations. Sounds like there's a deadline coming up.
There's definitely a deadline, and I reckon I'm reminded every day about the deadline by my wife. But no, it's the renovations themselves have been sort of a bit rewarding. Like even you saw the kitchen before you kind of walk in, and it's like, yep, like we did this. And then obviously like the baby's like the best thing ever. So it's just making sure, the house is, there's a few things we obviously want done before baby comes because it's easier to do it before than after. But it's all part of the journey. Like I'm sure it'll all work itself out.
How does it feel? Like I remember when, I first had my first child, and I must admit, like when my wife was pregnant, like I was excited to see my son. I didn't know what we were having at that point. Like I was excited, but she was way more connected to baby, obviously, than I was. Like, and I do remember feeling a little bit like, am I supposed to feel, yes, I'm excited to meet my child, but I felt like there was this, I wasn't connected to the baby yet. Do you sometimes get that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's probably been, I do get a bit of that, but I also think it's little bit of like, it's still very hard to believe because like, yes, you see like, her belly getting bigger and all that sort of stuff. And you obviously know baby's there and growing, but it's just like, I don't know, it's very hard to almost believe it in a way still. But I feel like once it actually, once baby comes, it's just going to be like this, then like the realization will sort of happen and it'll feel real.
One of the biggest things that I think people don't talk about, and this is not what we're going to talk about in the podcast, but I thought
ties into it.
Ties in a little bit. But a lot of people either don't talk about or maybe don't hear about a lot is around, I felt when my first child was on the way, epic levels of responsibility to provide for my family. And I must admit, I felt like I had no one to talk to about it. And I don't know if it's because I had children so young and didn't have friends and family. I didn't have friends who were having children when we were having children. But I remember this sense of like, I have to work harder, I have to provide more, I have to like, but yet there was no forums, there was no open discussions around that. And after having my first child, I was very much struggling with mental health problems, and I did seek help, and my wife was really, really great about it. But, sometimes due to, and obviously in hindsight, now I can talk about this, but I was similar to you, JK. We were building a house. We ended up, renovating a house. We ended up getting in 3 days before our baby arrives. Baby arrives. I'm a new father. I'm trying to help my wife. She's not sleeping. It's everyone's irritable. And you've got this sense of like, I've got to go to work. I've got to provide. And I had my own business. So it was like, I just need to make money to kind of keep the family going. I openly haven't talked about this a lot, but I felt like there wasn't a lot of people to talk to about that. And is that a weight that you feel?
I definitely do feel a lot of that, especially the whole bit about providing. Like even, I'm sort of trying to find this balance of how much do I aim to spend time with the family versus how much you're going out and, trying to, because obviously at the end of the day, every extra bit of work you do is, yes, financially better for the family, but then it's like, well, how much value do you put on the time that you spend with them as well? And then there's a whole element of quality over quantity, but you got to have some quantity to have the quality too. So just finding that balance, it is. It's probably something I think about every day at the moment.
Yeah, and it's like, obviously I'm glad you've got me to be able to talk to, and obviously 100%. people around, but there is this sense of weight.
Yeah,
and
sure.
and that weight, not that it subsides, but I just don't think we talk about enough what parents do and the weight that they carry to provide for their children and the support that's around. And I want you to know that, and for everyone as well, is around, do your best. We tend as parents to want to try and give our kids absolutely everything. But sometimes trying to give them absolutely everything is actually making it worse for everyone else. So, for your missus who's probably listening to the podcast, if he doesn't get the laundry done, for example, well, has he, he's tried his best.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The laundry is not going to be the make or break. She probably wants the washing machine and that's that done. But like, do you get me what I mean? It's sometimes we put undue pressure on ourselves to provide a level of comfort for our children. But at the same time, we're causing them more grief than anything.
Yeah, and I suppose, I think Mason said it on the podcast last week around like him going to the gym every morning, so he can have that selfish time for himself to show up for everyone else. And I think also finding that balance is really important too.
Yeah, definitely.
So, work in progress.
But I think this is a good segue, Mason. Mason, JK. A good segue is around, are your 30s the most expensive time of your life? And I'm glad to say that I'm still in my 30s. Might not look at like it these days, but I am still in my 30s. But my 30s were expensive, but I still don't think that they're the peak spending years. I think that what you're doing is you're seeing an adjustment from, in most cases, a single life in which you're providing for yourself to now not longer just providing for you, but you're providing for your children and for their futures. And what you're presented with is a combination of bigger house, because when it's just you and say your partner, you can be in a small apartment, townhouse, whatever. You're now needing a bigger home, more bedrooms, more. You've got the upgrade of the car because the car that you've currently got. So you're going through this transition between this, you as two single people coming together, usually both working full time at that point, to a squeeze where you're having to go, or maybe not the words having, you want to go larger, but yet at the same time your income is dropping in some way or another. The masterclass happens where you can keep your income the same, grow it, increase or make those items that we spoke about accommodate for your new family life. And that is a masterclass for it to happen. But yet I don't think that it's the most expensive years. What's your thoughts in regards to seeing clients in, say, their 30s or 20s, 30s and 40s?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think kids is obviously a big part of it. And depending on, the timing of whether you're having kids and all that sort of stuff it plays a big role. And, if you're sending them to private school, you got 3 kids all in one lump in private school, especially for high school, like that's the most common one, then yes, it's going to be more expensive. But we've also, we work with some clients and they've got 5 kids and they're spending as a household $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
So,
and that is true. There is expenses are very much dictated by the lifestyle that you choose for yourself. Yes, cost of living has gone up, but when you bake in what cost of living actually means.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it then goes to the question, yes, it makes things easier to, have the second car or have the bigger car or whatever it is. But how much of that if you didn't have it and it wasn't an option because you just can't make it work, you'd probably still find a way to make it work. Like I know my parents did the same thing, or even, you know, my grandparents got around with one car and 2 kids. So it's also how far do you want to go and what your priorities are as well too, I think.
Yeah. I think looking back over my 30s, yes, my kids have been an additional cost as per se, but most of it has been through choice. It hasn't been through the necessities for them to survive. Like they're eating more, but in their 30s, they're usually young. I'm like my eldest, which we had kids young. You know, the eldest is approaching 10. So, you know, he's eating, but he's not having steak every night. Like it's very manageable in regards to the grocery bill. The consumption of the water in the showers, that's probably the biggest one that they use. But even then, let's be honest, it's not breaking the bank.
Correct. Yeah.
What is the swimming, the soccer, the extracurricular stuff that they do. That is expensive, you know, and it is, but that is choice.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that we choose to do, we hope have dividends in life later. But that was the biggest adjustment for me in my 30s. And I think the other one was the underestimation of like how social expectations have so much pressure on you. And I think I'm more well equipped than most in regards to putting up with that, just simply because of my line of work. But keeping up with the Kardashians is full on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you have 5 children and you drive around a Skoda. Like, yeah. It's a small car and it does what it needs to do. And actually, to be honest with you, for the soccer trips, it's the best because I don't really give a stuff of all the soccer boots and all of that stuff. Like, not that people hound me on it, but it's like there's this social pressure around either perceived or reality is around, oh, should you get a bigger car? Should it be a much more luxurious car? As an example.
Yeah, correct.
But then that flows on into, as you become more advanced in your careers, what pressure society has and what you have in regards to your own pressures in life around, hey, where should my family be by this point? So that's probably what I underestimated. Even though I studied it, I probably underestimated how much pressure people are under in regards to either perceived pressure on themselves or reality, but also keeping in mind that social media for me 10 years ago wasn't as full on as it is now.
Yeah.
And as it is now, I think a lot of people spend on things simply because other things. Yeah. I'm going to throw my missus under the bus a little bit here, so sorry, babe, but you know, we went to America recently and they got this Irwin drink. It's the Hailey Bieber. I'm going to cook it. I don't even know who this is.
Wouldn't even know.
Anyway, Justin Bieber's, I know who Justin Bieber is.
Okay,
Justin Bieber's missus.
Yep.
Yeah. We got the drink. It was like 24 US.
Gee. Yep.
Yeah. Tasted okay. But everyone was going into this store, drinking it. Oh my goodness, it's the most amazing drink. I'll question that.
Yep.
But taking photos with the drink. Using the drink as an example. Yeah, I wanted her to experience it. She loved the drink. My kids love the drink, so it might be just me. Okay. Yep. But couple that around
those decisions happening daily.
Yeah. That's what people in their 30s are experiencing.
100%.
And I think in your 30s, so that grows from your teenage years to your 20s to your 30s. I think I've got a lot of friends that are in their 40s, like close friends that are in their 40s. I think by the time you get into your 40s and probably me soon to be 40, you go from this sense of like, probably a realization that most people get is around, I don't give an F about what everyone else is doing because I'm now in the thick of it.
Yeah.
So some of that, it's still prevalent, but some of that gets pushed to the wayside because they realize that if I keep doing that, I've got closer to, I'm starting to get closer to the end than I am to the start of my work life.
Yeah, get it. I think also too, and it's really important to iron that out because then you're starting to work out what your priorities are and what's actually going to give you, those moments and those memories that you can remember. Like we talk a lot about what we do is creating moments. And I think that understanding is really important because then that goes, all right, cool, this is a priority. And then from an income side, like at the same time too, in your 30s, you're probably going to have the most amount of income growth you're probably going to have in your career. So it's important not to forget about that as well. But then understanding what those priorities are, for then you be able to go, well, if I do that, this is what it means for me and my family. I think that also sometimes gives you the push that you need. But if it's things around keeping up with the Kardashians, like you mentioned, then is that really going to push you to get you to where you need to go? Because that's not really doing it for you, it's doing it for everyone else.
Very spot on. And I think that something that the earlier you realize this, the better. But I think most people realize it far too late. Yeah. Your financial decisions are trading off time. Yeah. And so you want a Porsche GT3, go work out the maths in regards to how much that costs you in not just money, in time. And then should you be making that decision and what's that trading off? Not to say that I don't love a Porsche GT3, JK.
I was going to say yes to that.
No, but like, I think if you want that and you came to me and said, John, I want a Porsche GT3, the first thing I'd be saying is, what are you trading off for that? And do the things that you're trading off outweigh that purchase?
Yeah.
If you could, like in your situation right now, would you buy that GT3?
Oh, it's not going to happen.
No, but why? Like that was instant, but why? Not just like take money out of the equation. Like, like not take money out of the equation, but like, let's say you could finance that.
Yeah.
You finance it, you pay for that. What are you trading off to afford that car?
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's time with the family, it's time with the kids, it's investing into the kids as well for them to be able to, like we spoke about the soccers and, whatever they decide to do. That's really what it is. And I think for me, like as much as I would love that, for me, that's always been like, I only do that once everything else is sorted.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like that's kind of at the point where I don't need any more. That's kind of like that end goal, if you like, because all those other things are taken care of because yes, they do take priority.
Do you think your goal will change? Because you've always been, since I've known you since you were 18, you've always loved cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, your missus loves cars as well too. I love cars, but I've always grappled with, I think I'd get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd get over it. I don't know, like I have this thing that buy a 911 Turbo, which has always been my like dream car since I was a kid. Buy it, drive it for 3 days, maybe 3 weeks, and I'll just be like,
cool, that's it.
Cool.
I've done it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I'm more excited about the goal, the metric to make something happen.
Yeah, than the actual like end result. And a lot of people talk about that too. Yeah, like it's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
And I know for you especially, it's like, well, once I get there and I've achieved that target, it's like, cool, well, what's next?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had to learn around like what's next becoming fulfilling for me, because that becomes like this invisible ladder of just climbing a ladder and never actually being fulfilled. So I've worked a lot on that. But I think 30s as well too, you're finding your new identity.
That's true too. Yeah.
So your childhood goals have hit like this reality shift, which is now, okay, cool, yeah, all right, maybe I shouldn't get the Porsche, yeah. Because you've got all of this stuff that we were talking before around the heaviness of being able to provide and all of this stuff as well too.
And then you're also going to get to a stage where it's like, yeah, maybe I can do it. The kids are grown up, whatever. But then you're also then probably starting to reflect on them. I've got a client that we're working with at the moment. They're going through the same thing of like, now their kids are in that 30 stage going through all this life transition, all these things that we've been talking about. And for them, it's like, well, can I give them $100,000 now because I know how much they need it now because I went through it, and how much that would help them if they had it and used it wisely. So then all of a sudden now you're comparing that to a car. Then it's like, well, yeah, the car's not very meaningful compared to that. So again, different priorities probably start to shift as well.
Yeah. But a lot of people argue about the car, and I've seen this a few on social media. I'm sure people have as well too, unless my algorithm's playing on me. It's usually religion, cars, I think on my stuff, and sport. They're probably three things I see on my feed all the time. Oh, and history, because I'm always into my history. But get the Porsche now because it's the only time when you'll enjoy it, like be able to enjoy it. And I do get that.
Yeah.
Like I do get the concept of like when you're 60, you're going to have much more fun of a Porsche in your 20s and your 30s. But on the consequence of what? Do you know what I mean? Like I even talk about like houses. Like so many people will be like, got to get this amazing home, but on the sacrifice of like, of what? You know, I'm building right now our kind of dream home, and am I doing it for anyone else? Nah, I'm doing it for me. I know that I love creating something, seeing something that built. It's something that I've had to learn with me. I actually really enjoy it. My mum used to tell me, like, when you do one project, John, you always want to build another project. And
seeing that vision come to life.
Yeah, and we were talking about the vision of thriving wealth and how I've had to build that and then kind of be where I am now, and then being able to kind of build that house is like my next. I'm always onto this next project. So it does fill my cup up in regards to that. I also, for everyone, you probably don't realise, I'm actually quite a homebody. I don't move. I leave the house much. And JK's laughing because he knows it's the truth. And so like I do want this house to be very much around facilitating our modern life, which is me being at home, being around our kids, being very much around, not that I don't want to leave the house, but not having to leave the house. Yeah, that everything I need, everything I could ever dream of is in there, but to drive that. But I made that decision, being able to not sacrifice and everything else. And I know, you know, with you being my advisor, we have a lot of discussions around this, around like my investments still happening, my super contribution still happening, like everything's still happening, that can't sacrifice from the core plan.
Correct. Yeah. And I think as well too, a lot of it's, if you look at, like, and I know the answer to this because I know you, but if you're looking at it going, if I lived on an island just on my own and I had that house, would you be happy and no one else could see the house? Like, you're not, at the end of the day, it's not doing it for anyone else. It's just for you. Like, you would still want that.
Oh, I have been even super protective with like sharing our plans to people because I just don't want, you know, I allowed our designer to like share the front of our house, and I was in our contracts. I even had like, I will approve every image that gets presented because I don't want that. And I think it's a really good thing. Like I was listening to Morgan Housel about this and, you know, a really good exercise to see if that goal is really for you is exactly what JK did. And I know you weren't at that conference. I might have
stolen it from him.
Maybe he stole it.
It might have been in the book. Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, you get mixed up. But the reality is, yes, if you want a huge goal, would you do that if you were on an island with no one else around you? Would you still make that decision? You know, would you jump in that Porsche and drive around the island and drive around the island? Or are you just buying that Porsche to show everyone that you've bought a Porsche? Would you build that house? Would you live in that house? And if no one knew that you had that house? And if the answer is yes, well, then that goal is really important to you.
Correct.
Yeah. But talking about the 30s, it is this expansion years. You've got dropping down of incomes. You've got growing family needs. But then you approach your 40s. And so your 40s, you're usually much more established in your career. You know, most people say starting in their early 20s in their career. You know, by the time you get to your 40s, you're advanced in your career. Some people are upgrading the home at that point because you've got the teenage kids or you've got the older kids that require a room themselves, you know, choose to, whatever it is. But you've got this second wave, and this next house is a decent shift, you know, cost-wise, whatever. You've usually got, if it's one parent, they've kind of returned back to work. They've got this kind of dual income household returning. So that you do get that reprieve at that point. But now the kids are eating you out the house, literally, by, you know, the consumption of actually just normal needs, the kitchen table, you know, their activities at the moment. You know, if you're academic, they've got tutors, you know, they're deep in regards to their sporting stuff at this point. They're playing tennis, they're playing whatever. Choose which sport that is, 2, 3 children.
Oh, forget it.
You know, and then, if travel's on the cards, you're not getting the kid for free under 2 now. You're paying full adult prices at that point.
And they're getting adult meals at the restaurant.
They're getting adult meals. The hotel accommodation, you're not fitting in one room now. You're having 2 rooms, you know. So there's this whole, you know, what cost you 15 grand is now costing you 50 grand.
Yeah.
So life in 40s becomes much more expensive. Schooling fees are increased. So, you know, not to kind of scare everyone, but if you think that 30s is your only hard years, 40s is about to get a whole lot more. And that pressure is something that you've got to get used to. And this is where a lot of people will have these kind of midlife crises. They'll have this kind of, like, once they get past the mid-40s, late 40s, early 50s, this like, stuff it. I'm just going to now just enjoy my life because I've just gone through all of those. And I get that, you know, but I'd probably argue that rather than doing it that way, the best way is to actually have that moments along the way.
Yeah.
And we talk about that a whole lot. So, you know, for those listening that are walking like down JK's shoes, is around try to get those moments. They're usually not expensive moments. Make sure that they become habitual in your life. You know, if I hear that you're not spending time with your daughter, I will be pissed off, JK. And I say that to a lot of our staff all the time, is around, I want you spending moments with your children. You'll never get them back. Time moves so quickly. And, you know, what is it? I think by the time they're born to, you know, when they leave the house, when they're 18, we'll spend 75% of the time we have with our children within that time frame. You know, after that is 25%. And I'd probably argue it's probably even more than 75%. And we spend. So you're never going to have that time back.
Yeah.
You need to be able to enjoy it in those 30s and 40s years with quality.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily quantity. It's around quality of time with them. So do spend time with the people you love, doing the things you love doing, and be prepared that it is the hump years. You know, if you've got your plans right and you've got everything kind of in order, usually your 50s are less expensive by the point that you're advanced in your career, usually so advanced by that point. Your kids are out the house or getting out the house, depending on their arrangements. Your expenses are usually on choice expenses. Hey, we want to provide to help our kids to have a deposit for our house. Hey, we want to choose to help them with their wedding. They're usually big, they're lumpy. And by that point, you're not keeping up with the Joneses in most cases. You're beyond that. You're beyond that to the point where you're, once again, if you've done this right, you've actually got a big nest egg. You've got a big preparation. It's around how do I get myself now from where I am now to by say 60, that income bucket, that income stream being stopped so that I can last for like my money lasts forever. So we're actually in people in their 50s, we're helping them transition from this life of providing, which they've become used to. You know, you're feeling the weight of it now, JK. To then in their 50s going, how do I readjust with an empty house?
Yep.
So it's interesting how we go through that. But I would say that if you had to ask me what's the most expensive years, I am fully prepared, being 37 now, that my 40s are going to be way more expensive than my 30s is going to be.
I've got a bit to look forward to.
You do have a bit to look forward to. But JK, not just me, obviously you work with clients, different demographics, different... What do you think is the biggest challenge that people come to you with in their 30s? Like, what's the biggest one that when they come to see you for the first time, what's their challenge and what do you really try to help them work with?
I think which is probably isn't going to be a surprise, is cash flow.
Okay. But what cash flow? Like, what's it actually? Is it simply more money going out than going in? Is it not being able to know where their money goes? Like, what is it?
Navigating the priorities, I would say.
Okay.
Because, and the reason why I say that is if you're doing a simple budget, on paper, there's surplus there. You might see 20, 30 grand a year on surplus, but then what's actually happening is you're seeing they're not saving in line with where it should be. And the reason why it's happening is, we wanted to go to the zoo with the kids or whatever it may be, is these things are popping up. You're just going off and doing them and the expenses you didn't account for, and all of a sudden you're not moving forward.
So they're just pointing their money whenever they need it, wherever they need it, without this kind of purpose behind it?
Correct. Yeah, that's what I think's happening.
And when you go through this exercise with most people, are you finding that they do have surplus cash flow? Like, for example, like they obviously coming to you going, we're not moving fast enough. We feel a little bit stuck. When you go and work with them on their cash flow, are you finding it? Like surplus cash flow?
We are finding it. And it's just around having those systems in place. Like we talk about, guilt-free accounts and living expenses accounts and making sure that we're sticking to it, because it's those little things. It's like, you're at the supermarket and, you're waiting in line to go to the checkout, and then the kids are saying, I want the chocolate, or I want this, I want that. That's there that they're saying, and you're going $3 here, $10 there. And all of a sudden that $200 shop has now become an extra $100 a week.
Yeah.
Because these things just adding up. So it's just having those controls and systems in place to make sure that you aren't getting carried away, you aren't deviating. And with what's left over, you're actually deciding and giving purpose or what you want to do with it, to go towards creating those moments or having those moments in the future.
So obviously the system is required, but how much would you say is a system problem versus how much is a behavior problem?
I think it's all a behavior problem, but the system helps control that behavior.
Okay. We were speaking about in the last episode around you got to change your behavior first. But we put the system in play.
Correct, yeah.
And obviously everyone's different, but how long do you think it takes, or how long do you think it takes? And is there moments that change the person to go, oh, yep, this is working and I need to sustain this? Like there's a crossover between, okay, I'm going to give this a go.
Yeah.
How long does that take for then the light bulb to happen? Like and obviously everyone's different, but in your experience?
It's an interesting question. So yes, everyone is different. A lot of it comes down to frustration. And if you've got...
And when you talk about frustration, are we talking about frustration around they feel like they're living without? Like what's that frustration that they're feeling?
Yeah, that frustration, the most common one is I'm earning good income, but I'm not moving forward.
Yeah, okay.
And that one where it's like, they know they're earning good income and they should be saving. So they're pretty sold on it's what's coming out, not what's going in. So having that system, they get a sense of relief straight away of like, there's a solution. And because of that frustrations at a certain level, that's what motivates them to then be able to say, yep, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it work. So that for me, I think that's probably the biggest one, and the ones that turn it around quickly in regards to implementing these systems and then changing their behaviors.
Do you think it's a monthly thing, or do you think that like it takes years for this behavior to change?
Some can take a year, some can take a couple months, an event needs to happen where it's like, I need to do this now because this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. Sometimes like you put these systems in place and then they have an event, for example, is car breaks down, for example, and they've got the money there that they're not dipping into their debt. It might be they just see accounts growing that they've never seen before, and that level of peace of mind. And also like being able to go on holidays that they maybe have planned for, so getting some wins on the board. But I think the underlying one for me always was like, I haven't felt since working with you, John, that we've sacrificed this sense of like, which ends up going into, oh shit, we should have done this years ago. Yeah. But it's this, the first one is around, not much has actually changed in my life. Like we're still living the way we were, as in regards to, and this is not going without, because most people are not going without and then paying the consequences. This is living without and then still seeing. And I would say to most people that year one is like establishment. Year two is like building the momentum. Year three, you're seeing the rewards. Yeah. And so if you're expecting like your behavior to change this instant, most people are living in la la land. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a bit like an addiction. Yeah. Like you can stop doing something that you're addicted to for 3 months, but like, I try to cut out sugar for, go on stints where it's 3 months, but then, mum bakes a cake and it's like,
well, your mum makes good cakes. So I get it.
And you're just like, you can't help yourself. And then all of a sudden you're back in this rut of, you get that dopamine hit. It's like, oh yeah, it feels good to have sugar again. So then you just...
You got a problem actually. Your mother is a really good cook, and your wife is a good cook.
I'm stuffed. It's honestly, it's a miracle I'm in as good of a shape as I am.
You got it from both. I'll escape my mum's to go to my house, and then your wife. Anyway, but yeah, I think this is this is something that if you can learn and do much earlier, you'll reap the rewards for those, more serious years. Yeah. Because I think that's one of the biggest challenges of people. What else in their 30s, JK, do you see, even their early 40s? Like, what else is another one besides cash flow?
The other one is people wanting to go too hard too quickly.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is there's a lot of clients that I work with who, young families, yes, they might have good cash reserves. Yes, they're earning good cash flow at the moment, and they want to go harder with certain strategies around investments and, putting super contributions to save tax or whatever it is. And I was having a few of these discussions this week of like, no, hang on a sec, just hold off, because you're at the stage where you're going through the most change that you're ever going to go through in your life. So there's going to be some things that we didn't account for. So just making sure that we've got those buffers and maintaining those buffers is really important as well.
I'm actually just researching this because I forgot his name, but this is the whole purpose of it. Is going hard too early. So we all know about the story about Warren Buffett, and we all know the story about Charlie Munger, okay? Berkshire Hathaway founders. And, if Warren Buffett didn't give away all of his wealth, he'd probably be the second richest person ever, besides Elon Musk now in the trillions, but trillion or whatever. But there was a third founding partner. Did you know this?
I've heard this story, but I can't remember it properly.
So... the gist of the story was, I'm going to cook his name, everyone. It's Rick Goering. Yeah. Most people wouldn't even know who that is. But he was the third founder of Berkshire Hathaway. And Charlie and Warren obviously started businesses. Like they would go invest in businesses. They had the philosophy. We all know the story about Warren Buffett making millions, Charlie Munger, but Rick did something different. Rick would use leverage. So he would find a good company. He'd go and invest in them like the other two. But rather than Warren and Charlie always being this and understanding that leverage is the way that people can go bankrupt, he would go and get margin loans. And it got to the point where he did it so much, got called in on a few, and lost everything. But why did Warren have more than Charlie in regards to ownership?
It's because he didn't lose money.
No, because Warren bought Rick's.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
So why am I bringing this story into it is because there is a very, very famous story of two people who were patient, did things the right way, had the right foundations, consistency over time. Charlie and Warren said that Rick was, if not the smartest of the all three of them, intellectually identify companies, but for the form of greed. And there's probably this confidence bias. There's probably a lot more in that. He couldn't help it. So clients who want to go faster, or individuals, or like yourself, if you want to go faster usually means, or in most cases, nearly always means more risk. Now, risk, if you boil that word down in regards to financial terms, is the chances of you losing money increases. Being able to work with someone to battle that side is very challenging. 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. There's all different ways when that gets introduced. It's always being introduced. But I think that even for me, JK, is a very common one. I even see that just in friendship circles, people wanting to go faster. So what do you do very quickly before we wrap things up is around management. How do you manage that?
Yeah, good question. Sometimes it's just as simple as playing out the scenario and just saying to them, like, best case scenario is this. And I don't know, they're going to take more risk on an investment. They're going to have more money. What's that more money going to get you? Nothing. I'm doing everything that I'm doing is just going to mean more money. Cool. If we take that risk and it doesn't work, this is what it means. This is the red line. These are all the things that you have now that you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Now what do you want?
Yeah. Is the risk of losing...
Correct.
Does it outweigh the risk of gaining? Correct. And in most cases, it's not.
Yeah, correct. And we are risk averse by nature. So once the writing's on the wall, that decision, I think, for the people that we're working with is easier to make. It's just we're looking around corners that they can't see. Yeah. And once we show them what's around the corner, then they're like, yep, I get it.
And it's that expectation again of society around, hey, why don't I have this now?
Yeah.
Why don't I have this now?
Correct.
And I want to stop the pain of me not being, and really there's probably other problems that you need to face first before you go into, I want to go faster.
Correct.
And if you go faster with not having the right foundations in place, gone. Yep. All right, JK, that was really good. Really enjoyed that. And hopefully you guys are enjoying them as well. So if you're liking these, make sure you like and subscribe on all major channels. Share them to your friends and family. Leave comments, feedback. We would love to know. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, JK.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time, have a good one. Cheers.